This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn about wildfires with Duane Toews and Keith Harmony.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Keith Harmony, works at the Ag Research Center in Hays, Kansas. Keith, talking about wildfires and their impact on grasslands. It's a little different scenario than what we typically have with controlled burns in the eastern part of the state, where we time it at an appropriate time. Wildfires, we never know when they're going to happen, and depending on what time of year that is, can have pretty dramatic and significant impacts on our native ranges.
Yeah, and under conditions of wildfire, they're usually not occurring under the most ideal climate conditions and also time of year. And we're usually most concerned with those that are occurring during a dormant season, a time of year when there's a long period where the vegetation isn't going to be covering the soil, and that there's going to be no cover basically on the rangeland through the winter period. So those are the ones that we're most concerned about, are the ones that are going to be exposing the rangeland to the most extreme weather conditions without any cover on the soil.
Certainly, a lot of folks heard about the big fires in the southern part of the state, but the Ag Research Center actually had some ground north of Hays that had a wildfire situation. You had an opportunity to really maybe learn some things from that, at least do some evaluations of what kind of impacts that might have.
Yeah, the week of March 3rd to the 10th back in 2017, there were several wildfires that broke out in western Kansas, and of course the large one was the Starbuck fire down in southern Kansas. But we had our own fire in northeast Ellis County and some of our research range property, and we were doing an experiment up there on the property already. So we had areas of transects that we were monitoring production and also looking at plant composition before our fire occurred. So we were able to do some looking before and after just to see what was taking place.
Fortunately, as things worked out, it was a year that we got plenty of moisture following that fire, which ultimately had a pretty big impact on how quickly that range recovered.
Yeah, one of the things that you like to see after, well, even when you do a prescribed burn or when you have a wildfire, is you'd like to have soil moisture. So that way the plants are going to have that moisture that they can uptake and they can produce growth quickly. And that's also why you'd like to have it occur when those fires occur closer to when the start of the growing season is going to occur, or during the growing season, so that you have the temperatures for those plants to start growing and pop out of the ground right away after the fire passes. And our soils were dry in that first week of March in 2017, and we did have good precipitation that occurred in April and May of that year. So we ended up having some good soil moisture, and we actually saw good growth occurring right away in May. And that was what we wanted to see. We wanted to see that plant growth come out quickly and cover the soil and cover that bare soil and start to producing a lot of dry matter so that we can eventually get some vegetative cover and litter cover on top of that soil. So those two things are important in order to stop the impact of rainfall on the soil surface, so that we don't get crusting that occurs, and so that we also have that litter and vegetative cover there to stop the flow of water across the soil surface so that we get infiltration. And eventually we want to get that litter cover over the soil so that we can also reduce the evaporation that we can see from bare soils out here in western Kansas.
All right, thanks to Keith Harmony with the Ag Research Center at Hays joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.